Welcome back to Let the Journey Begin. Filling in for my co-host is Alex Meschi, our executive director, and moi, Hilary Roberts. Hi, Alex.
Hi, Hilary. Get to fill in, and you and I get to do a show for once.
I know. I'm so excited.
Yeah, this is going to be great. We got a lot of fun things coming up. We got a big event this week on Friday. We got our first RSF gala. We're doing it with COVID protocols, and it's going to be filmed so that everybody can see it on our virtual live stream. If you guys want to check that out, go to our website and register. But we got a lot of fun stuff coming up this month.
I know. I'm so excited. I'm so excited about everything that's happening. I'm really, we're premiering the foundation song, and I'm excited about that. There's another surprise that's coming that I can't talk about right now, and I'm excited about that. I do want to say that I never got to thank you for my amazing olive oil.
Oh, yeah. What do you think of that?
It's delicious.
Yeah, I know.
It is absolutely delicious.
A couple of our other team members, they've been drinking that stuff instead of water to change up the flavor. But they're going through it, and they keep asking me for more of it. So big props to my dad. He's the procurement specialist when it comes to fine goods from around the world.
So awesome. I love it. Well, I'm really excited. Our one of our board advisors recommended this gorgeous lady that is coming on today. She is an LA-based, holistic, and integrative psychotherapist specializing in trauma. Please welcome Anna Santaolalla to the show.
Hi, Hilary and Alex. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, welcome.
How are you guys doing today?
We're doing really well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm really good. Thanks for asking.
What's awesome.
Oh my gosh. Well, you're beautiful. You're beautiful. We have a question that we ask just about every guest that comes on. And so we wanted to know what you wanted to be when you grew up.
Oh, that's such a good question. I actually didn't know. I think growing up, there was a lot of, my parents were immigrants. They fled a military dictatorship in Argentina. And so they had just come from Argentina a couple of years before I was born. And, they were figuring it out. And I didn't really know what I wanted to be, but I just knew that I was really curious about people. And I was just always observing. And as I got older, I think I knew that I wanted to help people in some way. I just didn't know how.
Gotcha. So
I love that.
That's awesome. And that led you to eventually becoming that holistic and integrative psychotherapist. And before we dive into that, I have an idea what integrative medicine is, but what is integrative psychotherapy exactly?
Yeah, integrative psychotherapy basically looks at the whole person, the mind, the body, and the spirit. So my approach is really eclectic. I use, practices, East and West practices to kind of inform my work. I have a background in yoga and meditation, which was really also part of my own healing, was getting into yoga and spirituality. And so I integrate all of those things into my approach to psychotherapy.
Gotcha. And how did you end up there from the want of wanting to help people?
Wow. Well, it was a journey. It was a real journey, and it was a hard one. I was bullied in school growing up, and then I started, experimenting with drugs and alcohol, way too young, growing up in LA, way too young to do that. And it led me in a bad place. And I, eventually experienced a sexual trauma, a pretty severe sexual trauma that, really just, it changed my life. It was really difficult to rebound from that and to recover. And so I had years of just being in chaotic patterns and behaviors, substance use, codependency, and, it was a long journey to get here. Let me tell you, I could go on for a long time, but you guys asked me what you want to know about, because it was a long journey to get to where I am today.
Sure. How old were you when that trauma happened?
I was 15.
Oh, wow.
And so that really, it was really hard to do well in school and to figure things out. And so I eventually, after having a relationship with an addict where I lost myself completely, I was so addicted to fixing and trying to figure out, and just, I really wanted love. We all want connection and love. And that's really what I wanted. And I was hoping that it would save me, but it didn't. And I hit a bottom there, in that relationship. And that led me to find a therapist of my own at 19. And that really kind of started the healing process. But it still took decades, really, I think, to get to where I am today.
Sure.
So,
sure. And go ahead, Alex.
I was going to say, so myself, I'm somewhat new to therapy, actually, myself going through it. And I know there are a lot of people that question it and what is it? And some people think it's, some voodoo stuff of people trying to get into your head. But the question I have for you is, when you first started going to therapy, was it the therapy so much that was able to help you, or was that just the beginning of the journey to freedom?
Yeah, it was the beginning for me. I was still in my patterns and my, my behaviors, my problematic behaviors. But I would still show up. And I think, that's really what healing is about. It's like, it's not linear. Healing to me is more like a spiral. It deepens over time, and you will continue in your patterns for a long time. You're not going to just keep getting better, right? So I would find myself getting better, and then I'd go back into unhealthy behaviors and patterns. And so finding yoga and integrating the yoga and the therapy was really, really healing for me and very helpful, as I was able to get more in my body. And then that led me to go to graduate school and find a program that was kind of integrative and holistic, that kind of brought in the traditional Western psychotherapy with the Eastern practices such as meditation and yoga.
So I have a question for you. With the trauma, did you talk about it with anybody when this happened?
I did. I did talk to a few close friends, and I confided in my mother. Mm-hmm. And I did get support, but I really don't think that I got the professional support that I needed, because it took years for me to get to therapy. Things have changed a lot since then, I think. But yeah, it's unfortunate that teachers and maybe even my parents didn't really think, okay, she needs to go to therapy. So I had to kind of figure it out on my own.
And then that person was not prosecuted, obviously.
No.
Yeah. That's really hard. And I don't know if you know any of my story, but I had a lot of trauma. So, and I know, and I love what you were talking about, how it's not linear. I mean, it's those levels, and peeling off another level and realizing and recognizing patterns. And, what were some of the things that were going on? Because obviously you had PTSD from it, and you reacted to that. So what were some of the things that were happening for you in response to the trauma?
Well, I had a lot of symptoms of, anxiety being a big one. I had a lot of anxiety. I struggled with depression. I had body image issues, the gamut. But there was, I really believe that as people, we have different facets to our personality. So there was this very wounded part that I carried around, but there was this other really resilient part that was just always seeking healing, and believed and had faith, and that things would get better. And as I found yoga, and as I found these practices, I really kind of connected to something bigger, my spirituality. And I just knew that there was that there was more, that there was a path for me. And so I don't know if there was a big turning point for me. I think, going to graduate school and becoming a helper and volunteering and starting to do the work for others really was part of it too. Helping other sexual trauma survivors.
Yes.
Has been very, very important to me. And so, yeah, it's been a big journey. And then, most recently in the last 5 years, I think becoming a mother, the experience of childbirth was really, really, really transformative and empowering for me. And so that's also a big piece of it. Yeah.
Wow, that is so amazing.
Yeah, that is awesome.
Oh my gosh. So when you started the healing process, how long from the trauma event, when you really started facing the healing, and when you started going down the journey, when do you feel like you started getting some relief? So I'm asking two questions, sorry. One is, how long before you really started seeking help after the trauma? And then the other is, when did you start feeling relief once you started seeking?
Yeah, great questions. So I first started seeking therapy around 4 years after, so around age 19. But I was so chaotic and still so in my behaviors that it wasn't really, I think it was helping in some way, but I didn't really start seeing the benefits until I think my late 20s. So it took a while. And then my 30s, we're still the early 30s, still a lot of work on breaking patterns. And really for me, relationship was really hard. Like I really wanted a relationship, and I just kept finding that I was, with the same type of person and not getting my needs met. And I think a big breakthrough happened for me when I went to India, and I really began to just do the real work of self-love and beginning to just kind of fall in love with me. And when I came back from that trip, something really shifted.
Wow. And how old were you when you went to India?
I was 34. It wasn't that long ago. And I got back and I met my husband shortly after. It was pretty magical.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah. And I was pregnant 3 months later. So that's the story.
There you go.
Wow.
No, that's great. So, very rarely do we have someone that is a professional expert. We feel that most of the guests that come on our show are an expert in their own right for going through their experiences. So with you having that professional credential behind you, looking back on your journey, is there anything you would have done differently, or do you feel as if you had to essentially live through it to get to the point where you're at now?
Oh God, that's a tough one. Because I really believe that we're on the path, we're given the path that we need to grow and to evolve. And so I don't think I would change it, but if it were my daughter going through certain things that I've been through, and I do see her and I worry, of course, right? Because I'm a mother and I would really want her to feel that she can ask for help, and that I would definitely, I wish I would have gotten professional help earlier. I think that would have helped, but who knows? It led me here, and I'm very happy where I am. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of the things that I believe is that, when you're faced with these challenges and things, right, they're all learning experiences. Some are greater than others, but leaving it to the higher power or spirituality, I feel as if everybody is given these challenges or obstacles that they're able to overcome. It's just a matter of how you're going to grow or develop from those situations, right? And not all these situations are going to be positive. A lot of them tend to be negative. That's why they create the stress, the anxiety, and things like that. But I feel the individuals that are able to really take the effort to put themselves forward are the ones that really benefit after the endurement of whatever they're going through.
Absolutely. And I think everything that you just said really also helps me in my work with helping other people, right? Because I don't tell my clients what I'm telling you. They don't know my personal story, right? It's very confidential, but I feel like there's a sense that they know that I can understand, right? Because I've had experiences, so I can really empathize.
Yeah. So let's talk about solutions for, whether it's your client or people around you, your friends, things like that. Just keeping it simple. What is something that an individual can do today to start helping themselves or help others?
Well, I really think that having compassion and curiosity is really important. Being really self-compassionate and having relentless curiosity about your experience when you're struggling, because I think it's so easy just to go to this place of judgment and shoulds. I should do this. This is bad. And that doesn't really help, right? But if we can just pause and be curious and be compassionate towards ourselves, even when we're in the ugly places, I think that can be really powerful.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah, that's very powerful. So let's talk about you yourself. Based on what I was hearing with you incorporating the yoga and the kind of Eastern modalities and spiritual practices, it sounds to me like you created this program for yourself to keep yourself in tune. So what else do you do today to help yourself?
Great question. Well, I have an 18-month-old and a 4.5-year-old. So all the stuff that I would love to do doesn't always happen, right? So like having a meticulous routine, I would love to have a morning routine that's meticulous, but it's not. So for me, things that I have to do that are kind of non-negotiable are exercise and movement every day. I have to do that. I have to have some time outside, even if it's just 5 minutes in the sunshine. And then, one thing that really helps me a lot is, we all know the benefits of meditation. It's, 20 minutes a day can reduces inflammation levels, decreases anxiety. But sometimes we don't even have those 20 minutes. So what I do is I just take, 5 minutes anytime. If I'm, going to the grocery store right before I go in or in between clients, I'll just take 5 minutes, put my feet on the ground, put my hands on my lap, and just close my eyes and take 5 deep breaths. And it literally takes 1 minute. It can be 1 to 5 minutes. And there's just such a shift in how you kind of view the world and walk in the world when you're just in the present moment.
No, that's awesome. I mean, my Apple Watch gives me those reminders to breathe, and it tells you, a minute of breathing a day can help with stress and anxiety and depression and all this stuff. So it's got to come from somewhere, right?
Right. Right.
So other than, taking a couple minutes before the grocery store, is there anything else that you do during your day to kind of recharge your batteries or, reset your mindset? If, let's say, someone cuts you off or frustrates you, what is your approach to kind of diffusing that tension?
I think I'm going to go back to the compassion and the curiosity. So if I cut someone off, if I'm feeling like, if someone cuts me off and I'm like triggered by that, I'm going to just like pause and say, I wonder what's going on with me. What do I need right now? Did I sleep enough? And, do I need a hug? Do I need to talk to my mom? What am I needing right now? And being just curious too, wonder what's going on with that person, having compassion, having that empathy piece. So I keep bringing, I really think I thread that through everything I do, and it really does help. Obviously when I'm frustrated with my kids or whatever, it's not happening, but I try my best. I try my best. It's hard.
I have a question that's not on script. How has being a mother changed your life?
Oh, wow. That's a big one. And it's been the biggest life changer because, it's one thing to do this work on your own, but then once you have these little beings that, I have 2 girls. And so in some ways they're like my mirrors, and it's what you love the most, but you also kind of see yourself and you can get triggered by them. And so they've been, with my older one, it has been challenging at times to just really keep doing this work. It is just a reminder to keep doing the work of healing, keep breaking patterns of my family dynamics that, that don't serve, and breaking those patterns and parenting in a different way. It's dramatically changed my life. So, yeah.
I love it. I absolutely love it. My experience and with people that have gone through trauma, it can cause issues in the marriage dynamic. So how has that been for you, as much as you want to talk about?
Oh, yeah. Well, my husband's an angel. So I married an angel. I really did. And I really, really asked the universe to give me a person that could handle me. First of all, but yeah, that is very true. And when I work with couples, we see a lot when there's one person with a lot of trauma, it can be very challenging. And I think for us, I really just communicate how I'm feeling. And if I explain it with words and I tell him, hey, this is how I'm feeling, I'm triggered, it really just helps a lot. And of course I'm in my own therapy, I'm in my own therapy and I address that. And so.
I love that and I can so relate to you because I was a woman that and I don't, you didn't get into the details of it, but I used to choose very abusive men, even in my sober years. And it was a big shift for me to face all that and the core belief that I had about myself to allow the continuation of that behavior. And just like you said, dating that same person over and over again. And then when I finally shifted it and realized I am worth so much more than this. I don't have to keep, beating myself up for what I've been through, or, I deserve more than what I grew up in.
Yeah.
So it's just wonderful. And I love that you've met such a good man. I love that because today I don't allow anybody to treat me that way. And I'm dating someone just that's lovely and kind and sweet. So I love hearing about your I'm sorry, say that again.
I just said, I'm so happy for you. I'm so happy you found that person.
Yeah. And if kids are in the equation for me, that'll be great. I'll be an old mother, but we'll just see what's going to happen with that. But but that's why I was asking the question. And I just love hearing that. So if you were to give our listeners one action for the day, just one, what would it be?
I think I'd go back to the piece around taking the 1 to 2 minutes throughout the day to just pause and take a breather and just be grounded in the present moment. And if you can do it barefoot in some grass or sand, that's even better. That's where the nature lover in me comes in. But just connecting and grounding is so important, especially we're on Zoom, we're on our phones all the time. It's just so important to kind of go back to being in the moment, being connected.
I love that. Well, we want to thank you so much for being on our show. This is wonderful. This is right in my wheelhouse, just this. And I love what you've done. And I love how you honored you and saying, yes, I had these things, but I also was a woman with a great resilience. I love how you spoke those words over you. And how beautiful is that? And I know that this is going to help a lot of people today.
Yeah, Anna, thank you so much for joining us. And if our listeners want to get in touch with you or read a little bit more about you, where's the best place to find you?
Yeah, they can check my website out, therapywithanna.com.
Perfect. So
that's Anna with one N.
Yes.
People.
Thank you very much.
Just like Hilary with one L. Don't forget it.
Alex with one X.
Thank you so much for having me. Hilary, I would love to keep chatting with you about your healing journey and knowing more about it, but I know we have to go. It was just an honor just to be able to chat with you guys today. Thank you so
Girl,
much.
I'm going to get your phone number. We were going to talk more.
Sounds good.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Anna.
All right,
have a wonderful day.
Wow, Alex, I got to tell you, so she hit places for me because I could really identify with the patterns of acting out. I could identify learning those different techniques, which I learned the grounding techniques, the breathing techniques. I actually learned that later because I thought a lot of it was hocus pocus. I just wasn't always willing to look at different solutions. And then I love the fact that she's had kids because that's one of my desires. And so it's interesting.
Yeah, a lot of synergy there. And for me, the real interest, so my dad being more of an Eastern medicine doctor, right? There's a lot of patterns that come up, whether it's you're talking about spirituality or your mind or your body, like grounding and breathing. These are things that my dad had been preaching to me as, a medical doctor per se. And here we're hearing it from the therapist side. So it's almost as if when you're talking about these Eastern modalities and things, they're all connected to really keep all parts of you in tune, whether it's mind, body, spirit. Yeah. And that's where my, going back to her curiosity and compassion, right? So really itching that curiosity of what else crosses over between the body, mind, and spirit to really help people, taking a minute to 2 minutes to breathe, if it's going to severely lower your stress, which is going to then improve your immune system and it has all these other benefits that we're well aware of. We just, 24 hours in a day, we can't stop to take a minute for some reason, and it seems to become an actual problem at this point. But I'm also curious to see what other conjunctions there are, and what else will translate from mind to body to spirit, or these little other actions that we can very easily do, just walking to the car or walking in from the driveway to your house, being able to recharge within that minute or two before you may be coming into a stressful environment, like coming home to, spouse and kids, or coming home to a potential disaster that your kids left you or the dog or something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, very cool stuff. And I'm glad we got her. Thank you, Ariel, for bringing her along. And
yes.
Would definitely want to connect with her in the future and hopefully have her collaborate with the foundation, because I think even something as simple as breathing like that can help a lot of people.
Yeah. I know it really helped me. I thought some of it was ridiculous. And I didn't ask her about essential oils because I do that now too. I have my little lavender teddy bear and lamb, and I'm like, I think I have a lavender sheep now that my boyfriend gave me. Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, to your point, a lot of people think that it's hocus pocus, but for some people, it really does work. And I think if you actually commit and believe in it, you're going to see benefits.
I just realized a lamb and a sheep are the same thing.
Well, if that's the case, go to the restaurant the next time you order a sheep chop and see what shows up.
We're so sorry to all the vegans. We did just shut your ears. Earmuffs, people. Well, Alex, this was so fun to do this with you.
Yeah, this was a good time. Hopefully we can do it again soon, but not too soon. I do want to get Jason back on camera.
We're going to get him back on next week.
Absolutely. So, all right, folks. Well, this is Let the Journey Begin. Thanks for joining us. Thank you, Anna, again for coming on. And to those listening, feel free to check out our virtual gala tomorrow. All the information is on our website. And also, please keep your eyes open for our social media as we will be unveiling our next scholarship on March 15th.